it's Lisa from My Dreaming Soap. Welcome to my channel. Now for this soap I'm going to be using one of the embeds moulds that we sell in the I Dreaming Soap shop, and this is an eagle mould. And with these moulds, as I say, we've got lots of moulds that we sell in the shop, so you can always pop over and see all the types of really cool embeds that we can make. So I'm going to be making this with an eagle. Each of the mould comes with a little imprint on the outside, so you can see which mould it is, and importantly, which way round it is, because sometimes you fill a mould up and you go, oh no, which way round it is. Also with this mould, because we put an embed in it for an eagle eye, or you could stamp the surface if you wanted, it also has a placement marker on the inside to show you where to put that embed. So it gives you some guidance on how to use it. Right, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make the eagle eye. Now the mould will come with extruder discs or a stamp if you want those, or if you don't want any of the scrapers or anything, you can just buy a plain mould, that's fine. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to extrude the eye. I'm going to do the eye in two colours, so it's going to be a black pupil and a yellow outside. So I'm just going to do my yellow first. I'm just using my small extruder today because it's only a small embed, so there's no need to get the great big extruder out. Okay, so that's more than long enough for my mould. I just need one eye because it's a side view of the eagle. And then the next thing I'll do is use some black. Now I'm not going to need all of this. I'm just going to, I think a small piece like that's going to be plenty. Let's pop that in. And my little disc to make the pupil. There we go. Now, when you're joining bits of soap dough together, you can actually just join them and add some distilled water in here. It's always a good, safest way to make sure you get a lovely join. To be honest, I probably don't need it for mine because I have just literally extruded this soap dough. I'm going to take my gloves off because this is really fiddly. My hands are nice and clean. And obviously this soap is also saponified. So I'm just going to get the pupil. Let's keep this the same size as the mould. Okay, that's going to be enough. So let's just make the eye with this bit. So I'm just going to go through, you can see, and that'll just make a nice eye, just wrapping that yellow around that black pupil. And just making sure it's pushed together nicely so we don't get any gaps, which would leave a little hole in our soap. Right, so there's my eye done. Let's get on to the rest of the soap. So I'm just going to get my gloves back on, tidy this up, and then we'll get on to actually making our eagle. Let's get on to making our eagle now. So the first thing I'm going to do is make the beak, and I have a yellow beak on my eagle, and it's all going to be one colour. It's just a small amount of soap, and the instructions come with how much soap you need to use for each part. So I'm just going to add my mica straight to my oil. Oh no! I was going to do a grey beak. I've done a yellow one. Oh well, we see lots of eagle. I'm not doing a specific, I'm not doing sort of like a bald eagle, like the type of American type eagle. I was doing sort of a brown eagle. But hey, it's going to have a yellow beak now. That's fine. So I've got my mica there in my oil. This is my lye solution and sodium lactate. Let's just give this a spin up. So I'm happy that that's nicely emulsified. I'm going to add my fragrance oil. Now I'm using Cashmere Woods from Stock Fragrance for this. Now if you're in the UK you may think, oh goodness me, she's made a mistake and used the wrong mica. This assessment I've got is a flexible assessment, and I do have Sunshine Yellow in my assessment if you remember when I made my eye was made with sunshine yellow soap dough. So I'm okay that I used sunshine yellow rather than the antique silver that I was going to use, so that's not a problem. Right, let's put this fragrance oil in. Okay. And get that mixed in. I've given that quite a nice blend. I may actually just warm that a fraction because I want that to set up quite quickly so I can scrape it. So I'm just literally going to give it sort of 5 seconds in the microwave. Okay, so that'll have got it a bit warmer. Okay, still pretty fluid, but it is thickening much better now. That's good. So what I want to do is, the beak is along this side of the mould, so I just want to fill that with this yellow. So I quite like going in when it's still reasonably fluid, because then you can make sure you can get right down into where you want it. Just trying to hold this mould open so you can see what I'm doing. So I've got that all in. Hopefully you can see all that in there. A little bit messy, but that's fine because we're going to scrape it. I'm going to give it a bang just to make sure I've got no air bubbles in there and the beak shape is filled nicely. And then I'm just going to leave that for a little while with it laying on its side just to set up so it's in a good sort of consistency ready to scrape. And we'll come back when that's ready. It'll only be a couple of minutes. I'm pretty sure we're all set up in here now, certainly enough to scrape. So this is the little scraper that comes with the eagle mould, and obviously by having the pattern on the end I can tell which way I want to put this scraper in. So I can now just pop it in and just bring it along. And just take out the excess. Now there's more in here, obviously, as you can see I've probably taken out more than I've left in the soap. Part of that is obviously I want to make sure I get a good shape. But the other thing is sometimes it's just really hard to actually blend together very small bits of soap without getting them full of air. So yeah, I've taken out a little bit, but it's not, I'm going to use it in a bit of a sample soap, so that'll be fine. Okay, so there's my little beak scraped in, so I've finished with that little scraper. And I'm just going to clear up and we'll get ready for the next layer. I've mixed up my next layer of batter and I'm just going to divide it between two colours. So I've got some chestnut brown in here. I'm going to sort of have 2/3 chestnut brown. And then 1/3 activated charcoal. So it's just way of some activated charcoal. Okay, and this is the chestnut brown. Chestnut brown's from Pure Rock Colours. Now what I've got to remember to do at this point is to remember to put the eye in that I made. Okay, so I'm going to pop that to there because it would be horrible to fill that in and then have forgotten the eye. Right, let's get this fragrance in. Now it's probably still a bit thin for me to want to pour. Can you see there's not really even a trace on it? So I am just going to leave that for a few moments just so it's got a little bit of trace on it. A couple of reasons for that is I want to do sort of an in the pot swirl with it, and I don't want it too wispy. I do want to see sort of some difference in the colours. I don't want them to just mix together. And the main reason is if it's really, really fluid, it's not going to have enough body to hold this eye up. And I don't want the eye ending up sticking up on the top of the eagle's head. So I want it to have a little enough structure for that eye to stay in the right place. So I will just a few minutes or so leave those to sit. I think I'm happy with the consistency of my soap now. So I'm just going to do sort of an in the pot swirl. Just so it's not just one big solid brown colour. So it's got a little bit of, aiming to give sort of like almost a little bit of movement to imply feathers. I think I'm going to give that a little bit of a mix. I'm just going to put a very small amount in first. Just to take it up to the level of where I need that eye to be sitting. And as I said, I've got marks inside the mould that will help you position that eye correctly. So now I've got that done, I can take my eye. Okay, I'm going to just line it up with the mark as best as I can. Cool. And now I've done that, I can then just carry on. And just fill in the rest of those bits. Right, I'm pretty happy with that. So once again, I'm just going to clear up this little bit of mess, and then we'll come back and we'll scrape that and we'll finish off the next layer. I think we're probably set up enough. It's a little bit difficult to see with this dark, but you can tell by, if you give your soap a little bit of a prod, it doesn't flow back into the space that you've just prodded, so therefore that should be okay to scrape. So I'm just going to take my scraper. It's a bit higher that other end, so I'm just going to just go through and spread this out a little bit. All right. Now obviously if you just didn't want to fiddle around with scrapers or anything, you could just do literally one single coloured bird shape. That would work pretty well. It's just a little bit fluid, but it's working okay. I'm pretty happy with that. And what I thought I might do is just do a tiny little mica line, a very light one, just to sort of separate the two areas, sort of the head area, you know, with the neck, and then how it divides into the rest of the body. So I'm just going to get a little bit of this golden shimmer. Just a very, very gentle mica line. Okay, so just very, very gentle. And you see it's a little bit gappy, and that's fine. That just means the top layer is going to stick really well. I'm going to mix up that top layer, and then we'll come back when I pour that. I've mixed up my last little bit of soap, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it into these two, can you see them here, two little squeeze bottles. Just going to do sort of 50-50. And in the squeeze bottles, in this one is more chestnut brown from Pure Rock Colours, and in the other one I've got golden shimmer from Mica Mama. So let's just give these a little mix up. I'm going to use the same little spatula. I don't mind if a little bit of that brown goes into the gold. Okay, so that's sort of half and half. Let's get my fragrance in, and then just put my caps on. Okay, give them a nice shake. Now with your squeeze bottles, I haven't said this for a while, but if you squeeze them a little bit, when you put your finger over the top, what will happen is when you let them go, then it sucks everything back in, rather than sometimes when you shake a squeeze bottle, it can sort of spurt at you afterwards. So that'll just stop it spurting at you. I'm just going to start just putting this in sort of making like almost what will be drop swirls eventually, just very thin little lines. I'm going in with quite a bit of the brown at first, just to highlight that mica line. Okay, and then I'm going to start bringing in the golden shimmer. And then I'm just going to spend just a little while, I won't do this all on camera because it'll be boring, just scraping out the rest of the soap from these bottles. Okay, so I've got all of my soap in there. I'm just going to level off the top. Okay, so I'm happy with that. So I'm going to put that away overnight and let that C-pop. So I put it into, I've got a heated trolley, a heated cupboard, sorry, that I do all my C-popping in. But obviously you could C-pop if you put it into an oven, lowest temperature on the oven, just so the oven's warm as you pop it in. Turn it off as you put the soap in and just leave it to sit there. Okay, so I'm just going to leave this overnight now. Here we are the next day. Well, actually, it's a couple of days later because I've been busy. I've been out on my bicycle. I did a 130-mile bike ride yesterday, and a lot of it was off-road, so it was quite hard work. I was out there for just over 9 hours cycling and getting myself ready for a thing called the Dirty Reaver. Now, I know a lot of you guys are in the US. You have this lovely gravel riding and that. It's not quite as pristine over here, but hey, I'm going to be doing that in April, so I'm trying to get fit for it. So anyway, that was a bit of a side. Right, what I've got here is I extruded some little black bits of soap dough to make them shaped like some birds that are going to be flying in the distance. And then I've unmoulded our eagle. Oh, put it out the right way. There it is. So what I'm going to do is going to get that eagle in the mould. Now, this mould's quite tight. It's a tall and skinny mould. So what I don't want to do is sort of put the eagle in there and sort of break off its beak or something by being clumsy. So how I'm actually going to do this is I'm actually going to sort of release the sides of the mould so I've got more hand width to get in there and actually get that in safely. Yeah, that's better. Get that in nice and tight. And obviously that then just gave me a little bit more room to be able to get under there and not hook onto its beak and damage that beak. But now I've done that, I can just secure that mould again. So let's just put that aside and let's make up our layer. It's going to be a simple soap round. I'm just going to have sort of some hills and sky in the backgrounds with some birds flying around. Okay, so there we are. First one, I'm going to pour the green. Let's turn it around this way. I want it in front of the eagle first of all. Okay, and then the rest I want behind it. Okay, then I'm just going to gradually build up. I don't want it going all the way over the eagle. I want it sort of halfway over around the back of it so it looks like a mountain behind the eagle. Okay, so this is thickening up a little bit, but it's actually perfect now that it was nice and runny to start with, and now it's thickening as I kind of just don't want it to pour uncontrollably, so it's sort of moved at a really brilliant speed. So I'm just going to leave that just for a few moments to allow that to thicken a little bit more, and then I'm going to go through and just shape it into the shape that I want for sort of the hill that's going to be hopefully looking like it's behind the eagle. Okay, I think that will be fine. So I'm just going to leave that aside to set it up a bit more, and then we'll just finish that next layer. I'm going to pour this in while it's quite fluid because I have got a gap still underneath the beak of our eagle that I do want to make sure gets full of soap. Okay, and then you just want to bring these birds in that I've extruded. So here they are. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that. So let's just top this off with the rest of this soap and that will finish it off. Okay, I've just chopped up a bit more of that bird embed and I'm just going to pop these onto the top. So there's all our little birds on the top. I'm just going to push them in a little bit, then get the lid on and then just pop this into my heated cupboard overnight to gel, and then we'll cut it maybe tomorrow, maybe in a couple of days. Here we are with our soap, it's about 3 days later actually, so let's get this cut, shall we? Okay, let's have a look at what we've got inside. Hey, there's our eagle. That mountain's a bit weird behind its head, but it kind of almost looks a little bit like it's wearing a hat. So I wish I hadn't done that quite so tall. But the eagle's come out really nicely. I'm really pleased with that. Let's have a look at a couple more. Okay, yeah, I think that mountain would have been better if I'd have managed to put some green sort of underneath there so it flowed a little bit better. But I think it's okay. I mean, I really like the eagle and the birds in the distance. They look good. It's just that sort of bit of mountain I'm not quite so keen on. But the rest of it I do think is really cool. I really like my eagle. It's come out really well. Yeah, and I like that with that. As I say, the birds in the distance I think really make it quite nice as well.
I hope you've enjoyed this video, everyone, and thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. If you have enjoyed it, it'd be great if you gave me a thumbs up, and if you'd like to see what I'm making in the future, why not subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Happy soaping!